This is a Huddle Sports Network broadcast. You can find us on Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, Facebook, and of course YouTube. Get all your NFL news here first.
Charles here locally in the community. Make sure y'all go check out New Cat Body by Jeremy Campbell.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. We got Will Volge, Paul Jones, Ricky Sakat, and Joshua Dorr in the building. Joshua Dorr. Dolphin. Of course he's going to ask for one. That being said, it's a slow news day. There's nothing out there. So it's Ask the Host Day. What do you want to ask about football? What do you want to know? 'Cause that's what I'm here for. This is a football show. Don't know. I'm not going to push the issue because I don't like pissing the man off in the first place. I don't know. I don't get it. That's all I got to say. I just don't get it. Going back in time, if you can see any non-Lions player, who or what time would you want to see? I would love to have been alive when the Lions were winning championships because that's what became the Super Bowl. And everybody that keeps saying, well, the Lions don't have a Super Bowl, but they have a championship. It's the same damn thing. That's where I'm at. Just doesn't have that Lombardi trophy to go with it, which it wasn't labeled the Lombardi trophy till 1970 something after Vince Lombardi passed away. Any non-Lions player or team? Nope, never. No, it got canceled. It's Thursdays that I'm on with Candy. Just a name, NFL championship game. Yep. Yep, Thursdays. Wednesday, it's Scott still doing the sports exchange. I'd love to go back in time theoretically and go on a Lawrence Taylor tour. I watched them. Yeah, it's funny because the Lions weren't always televised every weekend. You remember it was national games. If I could change a rule in the NFL, what would it be and add a rule? I definitely would add the skybox from the XFL in college. They get more calls right that way. There's less egregious calls that hurt teams in either way. The one rule I'd eliminate, targeting. It's very much on whoever wants to throw it, because 9 times out of 10 when it's reviewed, it's overturned. There isn't headhunters out there like there used to be anyways, because of the whole CTE thing, because they don't wanna get CTE themselves. So, I don't think the targeting rule is even necessary. That or, follow Babe Ruth and do my own stat keeping. NFL should add referee cams like the UFL does. It's probably coming, Braylon. Because they're test marketing because they are the semi-pro league. It's a professional league, but it's semi-pro. So they're test marketing everything there to see how it works out, and if it works out, then it might translate over to the NFL. We've already seen the kickoff rules go. So next is that. Same with the sky judge. I think the sky judge is going to make refs less flag happy. I watched Ian Rappaport do a live on Threads yesterday, and it's going to be a subject for the NFL roundtable tonight. It's kind of huge. It's about the new CBA that's coming up, uh, what's going to happen with off-season workouts, and everything else when they go to 18 games. So 18 games is on the table for the next CBA, guys, and I think it'll pass. But I think they're going about it the wrong way. I Strength and conditioning is not good enough for players as it is, and they're talking about doing even less in the off season. And if they do any less, there's no sense having an off season at all, or even a preseason. It's take your 53 best from what you had the year before, throw a splash in rookies, and go, because it makes no sense. Yeah, they're going to get rid of more off season workouts. I'll explain it all tonight, Braylon. It's I'm just I'm still processing it all. I'm trying to put it all into a way where it doesn't make me sound like I'm absolutely against the whole thing, because I understand. I understand. Eh, Trust me, I'm going to talk about all of that tonight. I'm not talking about it now because it's just I'm still getting it all together. I want to put all the information right. Yeah, it's a weird ramp up system. I get it, but I disagree with it totally. Yes, really. We all knew 18 games was coming. They tried to push for it this last CBA. And it's also doing away with the preseason game, which I'm fine with because we don't really do the starters playing at all in preseason anyways. Why have them? The new kickoff is going to bring back returns. That's the goal, and a safer version of it. You guys can say it's dumb. It's actually very smart. It's doing away with the stupid fair catch rule. There has to be a return, or it's going to start at certain points depending on what the football does. And I totally get it, and it makes perfect sense. Basically, if the football goes into the landing area, it has to be caught. or the team will start further back. Hey, I love it. Make them return the ball. Every ball has to be returned. No more fair catch. I think that's the most brilliant part about it. So it's gonna right. Punting is the only time a fair catch should happen. Bold prediction for the NFL season. I think the three surprise teams in the NFL, in no particular order or how it works out, are going to be the Commanders, the Colts, and the Cardinals. I think isn't there always five teams every year that don't make the playoffs? Braylon, I'm not going to talk about it now. I'm not getting into it. I'm going to have a discussion with all the fans tonight. I wanted to have another Lions fan on here today, but he evidently doesn't check his email or messages. Lions are going to win the Super Bowl. The rest don't matter. That's what that contract says. It's Super Bowl or bust for golf. That's one damn thing I know. I know. It's just I didn't want to get into that. I said tonight we're going to talk about what Ian Rappaport says as a preview. I did it as a preview, not for a discussion. That's my point. I'm trying to keep the discussion about just the team stuff. I, I, I asked three times now, and I just want it to stop. I don't want that to be a discussion. So how about those rookies? Um, the rookie, which rookies do you want to talk about? If you want to talk about just the Lions rookies, so far Sion Vaki is looking like he's overtaking Craig Reynolds. Um, Rakestraw and Arnold look decent, but Rakestraw has been predominantly used in the slot, whether nickel or dime. Rakestraw has been Arnold has been at the two. Kalen Davis had a nice pass where he got blue past defenders and had a nice over the shoulder pass received from Hendon Hooker for a touchdown deep downfield. Uh, Jamison Williams is probably looking like the most improved player. Wingo is looking good. Who is your favorite? So, how much DE does Wingo play? I don't know. Um, it really depends on what they see in the preseason from them on that side of the ball because there's going to be a steady diet. Who's my favorite broadcaster or commentator currently and past? Well, Greg Olson was my favorite on the national team. I love the way he did this color commentary and everything else. Do I think Caden Davis could make some noise on this roster? Yeah, Christian looks like he's going to be a natural right guard and be able to fill in possibly sooner than Sorsdal. And that's a good thing to have. That's a good problem to have. Do I think Caden Davis could make some noise on this roster? Maybe, but the guy that's been showing out the most is Traquan Smith. Traquan Smith has been a contested red zone catch guy, which we don't have on this roster other than tight end. And Shane Zylstra, we don't know if he'll stay healthy. He's the other contested catch red zone guy. Matt Henry, good morning, sir. Pat Rothwell, it's good to see you too. But Traquan Smith spent 5 seasons with New Orleans. And he did have 1,764 yards on 134 catches, and he also had 18 touchdowns in those 5 years. He did play for the Broncos last year. He did take snaps. They just didn't target him. He had nothing on the stat sheet, not even a target, which I think that's more to do with Russell Wilson. How big is Smith? He's 6'2", 215 pounds. Thoughts on Manu? He's raw, but he is an imposing feature on the offensive line, and hardly anybody wants to line up against him. Good afternoon, Dwayne Keene. I think he'll be fine next year. I think he needs a year of development under Hank Fraley. He tends to get a little handsy, especially like his first day in OTAs. Uh, four straight, four straight holding penalties because he just holds on too long and takes him to the ground. That's okay in that Canadian football league, with the Canadian college. It's not okay in the NFL. You can't hold the guy once he's on the ground. Dwayne Keene says, "Let's go, Detroit Lions. One pride, Kings in the North Division Championship title." Well, right now, we can say we're the defending champs, and I'm good with that. But everybody's 0-0. It's a new year. So let's go, Lions, and earn it again. Everybody was talking about how many one-score games we had last year. I said, if you really look, we only had 6 of them, and not all of them did we win. So, yes, a 6, it doesn't matter. You can win or lose any one of those games. No, it's not overpaid. If you look, it's actually cheaper, way cheaper than Amon-Ra. Wasn't it like 3 years, 72? Right. Right. It is time to go further now. That is what the contract for Goff says, and we can do it again. We got better just like every other team in the division. And this has been my argument the entire time. When you're at the top, as long as you improve and don't sit stagnant. Do you remember what happened 2 years ago when there was 11 one-score wins by Minnesota? Nico got 3 years, $72 million. And he was basically their number one when everybody else was hurt. He's the only guy that played. Yeah, 6 million less. Yep, it is. For a number 2 or number 1 wide receiver, which Nico Collins turned into with CJ Stroud, it's a fair deal. Get used to it. If a wide receiver gets 1,000 yards, it's going to be 20 plus million from here on out for him. That's what I saw for their second contracts. Get used to it. You can say what you want, but with the rising salary cap and what Christian Kirk got paid, who was a slot receiver for Arizona when he went to Jacksonville, that's what started this. It's less about the guys at the top and more about those mid-tier guys and how much they get. Yep. Yeah, I'm itching to see what our defense does for us this year too. It should be monumentally better because we actually have a competent DT2 to help Aleem McNeil create pressure from the inside. Yeah, I think they basically told Diggs that, hey, we'll give you this. You either play and shut the hell up, or you'll be gone next year or even gone by midseason because we'll trade your ass. We don't care. We want a good team. And I think Diggs is going to be fighting for the number 1 spot. He has to earn it. Right now, it's Nico's to lose because he earned it with Stroud. No, you're not the only one. I have said it. Pretty soon, that market reset's gonna happen. Diggs is a diva. Exactly. I think pretty soon we're gonna see market resets across the board. You already saw it when Le'Veon Bell pulled what he did. Christian McCaffrey is the highest paid running back at 16 million. And you remember the year before, that's a little bit less than what Le'Veon Bell would have got on the franchise tag, but he rolled the dice and said, "I'm going to sit out. I'm going to do this, and this in the during the season and have fun." And he did, out there riding a jet ski in Venice and all sorts of stuff. Yes, he did. Diggs cried in Minnesota to leave. Then he cried in Buffalo, not getting his targets. He's got to learn to keep his mouth shut with the Texans. That was a prove it deal to prove it. That's all that was. Anybody that thinks anything different is wrong. Yep, it sure is, Paul Jones. But pretty soon, what you're going to see, they're going to ask for a lot of money, and we're going to say, fine, we'll just franchise tag you. They're not going to be giving out these big contracts. 5 year, 5 year contracts and franchise tags is going to start happening to push the value down. What do I predict Hutch's market value when his contract is up? I predict 30 million. I said, considering the only 30 million a year defensive lineman was a defensive tackle too, just retired. I say it's going to be around 25 to 30 million. I think it's going to be just under 30. Because if not, they're going to start doing that with the defensive end market. You can't afford all these bloated contracts. Ralph Williams, RW Media says, "Oh yes, absolutely on the contracts." Do you agree that that's how they're going to start resetting the markets? There's going to be less second contracts and more franchise tags and extending people out and trying to work it to where they have lesser deals, like at wide receiver, possibly even quarterback. Because once we get to 60 million, you're getting into that astronomical. Holy crap! Who's worth that a year? Because eventually the salary I think it's gonna be between 25 and 30. I don't think it'll quite be 30. And tonight is the NFL Roundtable Talks, and if you wanna be on again, Ralph, I would love to have you on. Tonight's topics are contracts and, what Ian Rappaport talked about with the new CBA coming up. I think it's either 2025 or 2026 is when they redo the new CBA. 'Cause that was an amazing live I watched, and, it was informative. Also, the copycat effect happens. Yes, exactly. You know who's in trouble next year after this golf contract? The Dolphins. Okay, I'll send the link about 8:30, Ralph. Um, the Dolphins, the Jaguars, the Packers, and the 49ers. The golf contract hurts all of these teams for their negotiations. 'Cause Packer fans say that Jordan Love is better than Goff already. I don't think we're in trouble next year. You know what? I'm gonna say no, Tim Colbert, because Goff has a better playoff record with his teams than Kirk Cousins. And if you actually looked at it, he's saving 5 million this year, and he's only making as much next year as he would have made this year. It's a 2 year Super Bowl or bust contract because there's a balloon payment in the second year of the actual extension, where it goes from that 32.6 up to 69.6. So I think what happens there is it's a 2-year Super Bowl or bust contract. And if we don't get to the Super Bowl in the next 2 years, Jared Goff, as much as all the Goff slappies say it won't happen, it might. It's either going to be gets us to a Super Bowl. Hey, you can say that, but we only got one receiver to go to here, and Jared Goff has been flourishing. So we have a good offensive line, and actually, if their line could stay healthy, the Vikings is rated as a top 15 to top 10 O line every year. Once they start to have injuries, they have issues. Kirk had 3 last year and was winning the division. If you remember right, it was neck and neck with Minnesota and Detroit until Kirk got hurt. Once Kirk got hurt, they fell apart because that roster needed Kirk Cousins and his decision making. How many playoff wins does the Lions have in franchise history? You would have to ask that. It's not many, and I know it, but they do have 4 championships. Exactly my point. Um, Goff already has more wins in the playoffs with all the teams combined than Kirk has had in his entire career. Matter of fact, we have 9 wins and 14 losses. No, they started. No, they didn't go 1-4 till Dobbs was in. Dobbs didn't come in till week 8. They were like 5-2 because they already had the bye week. Cousins' agent should be in the Hall of Fame. Yep, Goff is 2-0 over Mahomes as a QB, and the only guy that is, even Tom Brady didn't have a 2-0 record versus Mahomes. Favorite Lions game I watched on live? Billy Sims karate kicking the Stevie Brown. I'll never forget it. And the one that I watched on TV. God, there's too many. I'm not gonna do that. I want to talk actual football talk, not personal preference. Uh, I, yep, Lions are 9-14 with 4 championships in their history in the playoffs. Other than that, my second favorite one was 40 years to the day taking my dad to see Seattle. Even though we lost, it was a full circle moment for me for games I've been in person because he took me in October 2nd, 1982, and I was able to take him October 2nd in 2022. That's one of those first full circle things you just don't get a chance to do usually in most people's lives. And every game I watch on TV, win or lose, is my favorite. I'm interested to see who's the next free agent to sign. I don't know. I can't predict that correct. There's guys that are on free agency that I thought would be on a team by now. And I'm not just talking about guys for the Lions. That's awesome. That was 2018, right? Because that's the year we came back and beat the Cardinals for Stafford's 29th comeback victory of his career. And then it was that same year. I think it was in October. Yeah, that was the 2018. I was at that game too, Ricky. I was at the home opener. I saw when Gerard Davis chased David Montgomery down on the sideline at the home opener and ended up breaking his wrist on that play. And that was when David Johnson was no longer a good running back. From that moment on, he never looked the same. Oh yeah, that was the Matt Stafford fake spike. They show that. That was against Dallas, I thought. And the Cleveland was the torn shoulder. Yeah, I couldn't believe he still made that. Yeah, Cleveland, it wasn't a fake spike. He came back in because Cleveland called a timeout and he tossed a lob pass to Calvin Johnson. Oh yeah, there was more of the Lions faithful that go to every home game that I saw on the road last year than well, they may have been chasing us, but what I was saying at the time, Packers were playing worse. They were second place. Love didn't start playing good until what was it, week 8 or 9 after Minnesota beat them, and they got lucky to get out of Chicago with the win week 1. Yep. No word about the voided contract. I don't think it's going to be voided, and if that's the case, we go from 28 million after the 3 million and the guarantees that we already thrown out. We haven't signed Arnold. We haven't signed Straw. They already added the 10.5 back in. That's where that number magically jumped up, guys. We voided that 10.5 by canceling it. But at the same time, that $12.5 million contract that's left, plus the $7.5 million cap hit, we become an $8 million available cap. Suckfeld is QB3. Hooker is our backup. Can we appeal? Probably not. Oh. Can we appeal? Right. That's the other thing. It depends on when that is. And it could be a huge blow. No, because of the contract being able to be worded the way it is, it was a fireable offense. So him being fired was just part of doing business in the NFL. That part is lockdown clad because domestic violence is one of the three main fireable things a player, coach, or even front office member can do. It's worded right in their contracts. And since the whole gambling policy came out, that's been added into gambling on team facilities, whether home or away. No, not necessarily, because the initial warrant was a felony warrant, which is why they reacted so fast. It looks like something's going to be signed by Pittsburgh already. I think there was a $9 million deal for him. Yeah, let me double check because they were talking about signing him for a 1 year, $9 million contract, if I remember right. No, he's still a free agent. He didn't get signed, but he's been there twice over the last 2 weeks. So don't be surprised if he is, because it was lowered to a misdemeanor. Lots of players have been back to the NFL after domestic violence things. Right. We already got the 10.5 million back. That was done. We're not getting any more. We either lose a lot or we're good where we're at. I think Pittsburgh is waiting. Hmm, that would be a jerk move in the NFL. Oh yeah, probably, but it could happen. I'm being as realistic as I can about it. The fact that it's lowered from a felony to a misdemeanor already, and there's a chance it could even be thrown out of court. So nothing would surprise me. So, do you guys expect any sophomore slumps on the team? And if so, what player? It has to do with the charge. It has nothing to do with anything else. Stop putting in a bias that isn't there, Orlando. Listen to what I'm saying. Because it's already been lowered from a felony warrant to a misdemeanor, and he hasn't even been to, they probably won't do anything till after his court date. And I don't even know when that is. Way past June 1st, though. Yes, we did the right thing. That's all that matters, according to the letter of the rule in the contract. But that doesn't mean the contract will be voided. That's what I've been trying to say for, well, since April 17th when all this, or April 7th when all this shit came out. And I do say shit because I hate it. I hate when this type of stuff happens. I would say it'd be pretty ridiculous for the NFL to punish a team. They're not punishing a team. It's an out in the contract. We're asking for the contract to be voided because we want more money. There's a big difference there, Orlando. And if it would have stuck as a felony warrant, it probably would have been done already. But because Hillsborough County lowered it from a felony charge to a misdemeanor charge, that is why nothing is done. If he ends up acquitted, or no, it's not punishment. We signed him to the goddamn contract. We are just as liable for that contract as he is. Fans only look at it from one side instead of both sides. The NFL is a business. Contracts are meant to be upheld. We asked for it to be voided because it was a felony warrant. It's not a felony anymore. It's a misdemeanor. 9 times out of 10, we're not getting shit back. Watch. But that doesn't mean you get to void the contract. It has not happened but once. in NFL history where contract was voided. So odds are against us on this. It is a legal document, legal and binding, signed by both parties. We just had the right to dismiss him, but because it's a legal and binding contract, whatever he's afforded as far as guaranteed money, he'll probably get. But then the dead cap implications come in and everything else. So that's where it's a lose-lose situation possibly for the Lions. And I've been saying it since day one, and none of y'all wanted to listen to me. Oh, it should be voided, blah, 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 blah. I've said no. And James Burgess says yes, charge reduction essentially means no contract relief. No. And when it's in the contract as a fireable offense, that just means you can be fired. It does not mean it's a voidable contract. I've been trying to tell you this for months now. But everybody wants to go the other way, and that's not it. I just thank God he didn't off himself. Detroit fan man agrees too. I'm a misdemeanor charge with diversion. This is wild attorneying because this is only supposed to happen in non-violent cases. Hire Cam's attorney if you get in trouble in Tampa. I also think we're screwed. Right, because guess what? Ever since we talked about voiding the contract, there has been no one reporting on it, which means it probably isn't going to happen. We already got the 10.5 for the guarantee for that bonus that he doesn't get because he's not on the roster. We got that back. That's why we have as much cap room as we have. I've been trying to tell everybody this for a month and a half, almost 2 months now. So if that's the case, then what's done is done. But if they don't void the contract, the dead cap hit is going to hurt us. It's 7.5 on one side and 8.5 million on another. So if it's 8.5, that's $21.425 million against us. And I've been warning about this the entire time. That means we're still on the hook for that, and the dead cap goes against us. Is that not what that means? And he still gets his guaranteed money as a check in his hand, not the 10.5 roster bonus money, the guaranteed part of his contract. And it was 66% guaranteed, which I think that breaks down to almost $8.5 million. So it's 8.5 plus 8.5 is 17 million. 17 million. Take that away from 28, that leaves 11. That's just enough to sign Arnold and Rakestraw because we moved up to get Arnold. How many years have we said that no news is bad news here in Detroit? It still pertains to everything Lions. Anytime you don't hear about something, it's bad. And I think the last time I saw somebody talking about it, they said the exact same things I said, and that was in the NFL media market. I'm not even trying to be a hater or any of that about it. I just I just know anytime teams have applied for this and it didn't happen right away, it doesn't usually happen. Well, I see the viewers are dropping like flies. I went from 17 viewers to 6 in the last 3 minutes because we were talking about something that everybody kind of expects. It's sad. Here's some news FTP. Yes, sir, Davy. I wasn't trying to make people upset, but I guess that's what happens when you're a realist and not a homer. I try not to be the homer guy. I think there's a good chance we lose one more game than last year, but still win the division at 11. Yes. Hey, Quinn Cook in the chat. Long time, brother. James Burgess, you're absolutely right. You almost need a tape like the Baltimore running back thing to get a contract voided. Grace through face. Dog days of the off season. Yes, absolutely. It is the dog days of the off season. I just like being the guy that's a realist instead of a homer. I like talking about real news instead of, oh, look, we might trade for Joe Blow wide receiver and give up a multitude of draft capital. Every time everybody said that, who was the only voice of reason during those times? While everybody was talking trade, 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 giving up first and second round picks. And then the Cam Sutton news came out. And the last signing we made a half hour before that news broke was Kevin Zietler. And if that's your splash signing at 6 million for the year, the Reader was a good signing, but it wasn't really a splash. It was expected. We expected to sign a DT2. We expected to sign a couple defensive ends. We've all said this. We didn't do the flashy throw money at some big name. He has been there. Yes. Hey, smoking dad. Good to see you made it. It's almost over though. Had some good questions. We had a little bit of a heated debate, and I wasn't trying to offend anybody. But like I said, I've been warning everybody that the Cam Sutton thing probably isn't happening. And I don't do I like it? Hell no. But if we wouldn't have did what we did, we wouldn't have 31 million right now. But like I said, it's only 28 when you include the roster bonuses and stuff like that for being at OTAs. Make sure you turn in tonight. We will go into detail about what they're talking about doing with the offseason and making an 18 game schedule in the next CBA. We're also going to talk about what the NFL can do to reset markets to lower cap hits so teams are more feasible to be fielded. Because if not, it's going to be rookie play. You're going to end up with people hoarding draft picks, wanting 9 to 11 draft picks every year, and they just let players walk every year. That's what you'll see happening. But we will discuss that tonight. Right now, I got to get talk about our favorite sponsor. It doesn't even pay me a dime, but it's great to say it. It's FTP for the people, from the people. Put it in the chat. We all know what it stands for. FTP. Or as Orlando would like to say, fudge the Peckers Mackinac style. And our second sponsor, who actually does pay for this ad, is Gloss Negron. 2023's best window tinner in Saginaw, voted through the Chamber of Commerce, is up for the award again this year. Make sure you go make your vote. 409 Hamilton Street, 989-443-9240 to set your appointment to have your windows tinted or your car detailed today. He does amazing work, like the Audi SUV, this Maserati SUV, or this 300 C-Class. And last but not least, Brandon Service, my place of employment, right at the corner of Grand Traverse and West Atherton Road. 602 West Atherton Road is the address. Has been in business for over 45 years. Make sure you come in and check us out. Great prices on the used tires starting at 40 and up. And if you need a price for new tires, please give us a call. Talk to George Red or myself. 810-233-8230 is the number. Guaranteed we can meet or beat almost anybody's price on new tires as long as you're actually buying them from a store and not a clearance rack online. Let me specify. But when a 1963 Rolls-Royce Silver Phantom trusts us to do their work, I think we're okay. DJ Reader has been at camp. He had to take a day off on day 3. I believe camp is still going for another week. Then they get a week break. We're up 2-0 on the Pirates in the bottom of the first. So I think they're up against Paul Skeens right now, which is one of the best pitchers, new pitchers in the league. Has that 100-mile-an-hour fastball. Maybe they're actually getting the bats around on it. That would be a nice switch. But try every day to be a better person than you were the day before. It's the only way to make the world a better place. It starts right here. Thank you for watching, and tune in at 9 p.m. tonight for the NFL Roundtable Talks.
This is a Huddle Sports Network broadcast. You can find us on Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, Facebook, and of course YouTube. Get all your NFL news here first.
Have a great day, everybody.